Hello guys, we're back with another vodcast. I don't know how to call this. I think we have both because we have the video and only the audio. Today we have Nathan Bray here with me. Nathan, welcome back. Always a pleasure to have you here. I think today, I want to be only in one topic, if you allow me, all right? Because it's not easy to get Nathan, right? He's a very busy person, very, very hard. He actually was on the phone for at least...
I was crawling on the floor to get here. I was begging, but please.
Yeah, nice to have you here, man. Anyways, so as I was just mentioning, I think I will try to emphasize something that it's actually happening and we can see it, that it's gold.
Sure.
Right? Gold is hitting every day pretty much all-time highs.
Strong uptrend.
Strong uptrend.
Not even a retracement to allow buyers to get in. People, it appears at the moment, and this can change very drastically and very quickly, there's not a lot of profit being taken, is there? It's a really strong move higher. That is sustainably above that triple top. Like it's breaking out to the upside, right? So if you're a bit of a gold bug like me, and you're not in, I wake up crying. I wake up screaming.
Because you can't enter it.
I can't. I'm not going to buy at these highs.
At the top, it makes sense.
It's too expensive. So I need some kind of pullback. And I'll just keep buying now in line with this kind of sustained proven uptrend. So that is really what I'm looking for right now.
Yeah, and this week it's a very decisive week, I think, for the US dollar, right? We had all the ISM non-manufacturing PMIs, services PMIs. We had the ADP as well. We had the initial jobless claims just yesterday. And today we're going to have the big boy, the NFP, at 11:30. So, if gold doesn't have a pullback, then it's going to be even harder for you to get in if the US news comes negative for US, lower than the consensus. So I'm looking at gold at the moment and I'm thinking exactly the same as you are. I would love to be in the party, but the party already started and it's like all the way to the middle.
That's right. I'm at the back of the queue.
Yeah, you have to go all the way back to the queue now. So, of course you could long on any price, right? But then your risk to reward wouldn't be so favorable on your side, right? You want
to buy at the cheapest possible
price. Right? So, correct, exactly. Yeah. So, we have lots and lots of things to talk. So I will be focusing on gold today, guys. And I know lots of you like to trade gold, as Nathan does, as me. And everyone here on the trading floor actually likes to trade gold because it's a very, very good trade instrument. So, we're having lots and lots of things happening this year. Fed trying to cut the rates, inflation, very, very sticky inflation. Last quarter, we have all the 3 months, the whole quarter pretty much, higher than expected inflation. And this is dragging investors to buy gold because as a safe haven, right?
Sure.
Of course, it always has been and always will be. So something like Bitcoin maybe, I don't know. It's hard to say, right?
Bitcoin compared to gold is an 8-year-old kid.
Well, true.
So if you want to go, let's invest, and it could be the future Michael Jordan, I don't know, this 8-year-old kid. Maybe. But right now, are you going to put all the eggs into that particular basket? Or, it may very well be, but the problem is, how much do ones and zeros weigh? Because an ounce of gold, how much is an ounce of Bitcoin? Like it's the whole Bitcoin.
Yeah, pretty much.
If you were to get all the ones and zeros, it's hard to compare them.
It is.
Yet it's very easy for bloggers in the blogosphere. Right?
Yeah.
Keyboard warriors. Talking it up. CNBC, all they talk about is Bitcoin. What happened today? Bitcoin happened today. Why? Because we're getting lots of money, right, from advertising.
And yes, of course.
Right, I get that, and it is what it is.
And sometimes gold can be so boring that people doesn't even care. Like we had gold on, I think it was February, second week of Feb. I can't remember right now, but right on the beginning of this year, gold was walking sideways pretty much. You know, it was $50 up, $50 down, $50 up, $50 down, $50 up. It was a whole month like that.
Yeah.
While Bitcoin was getting all-time highs.
True.
So what this caught more attention from people? Of course, the new money will like to invest in Bitcoin because it's the new thing.
But it's a lot less of it too.
When you
consider Bitcoin, it's limited. There's only 20 million. You
gold,
can't mine anymore.
Yeah.
And there's only this much money
to be
in Bitcoin. Let's call the gold market globally, right? Let's call it all the water in the Mediterranean Sea, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bitcoin is an Olympic-sized swimming pool.
Right.
In volume.
Yeah, okay.
Like the amount of money invested into this versus... And then, of course, we could go to the Atlantic Ocean and talk about bond markets and so forth, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just looking at it now saying it's very difficult to compare something with a volume that's so small, even though the price is very high, to something that's, you know, been used as money for thousands and thousands of years.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that most of the big institutions...
Do you realise, Luca, you're the only person in their 20s who didn't rip my face off for saying that?
True, that's true, right?
Well, what's happening?
Because I think...
Did I insult your...
No, because I've been so much into macroeconomics that I know that something... You know, that it's coming there for ages, years, 1980s, 80s. I think it's very hard to say like, okay, forget about this old guy here that knows all the knowledge and let's listen to the 8 years old kid as you just mentioned. So, I mean, I don't, you know, if Bitcoin is doing great, good.
Yep.
I love to see people getting rich. Like, I want everyone to get money here.
Absolutely.
Not only through trading. Sometimes trading, you know, won't go right, then go invest in other stuff. But make money. Diversify your portfolio. Nothing wrong with that, right?
That's why I think we have this whole woke mentality now, right? About being all-inclusive.
Yeah.
But then you've got gold guys fighting Bitcoin guys, right?
Exactly.
Like, this wouldn't happen on any other channel.
No.
But then we're like, well, maybe we're not all-inclusive, right?
Well, we all be step back a little bit, right?
Should we all be kumbayaing and shaking each other's hands and hugs and stuff like that? Yeah.
Well, anyways, so Bitcoin Gold, I think this talk has, you know, on the past, we've talked a lot about that already. So if you guys have, you know, haven't watched our videos talking about this, I think we've talked about that. Last episode on here on ACY Cast, ACY Cast, don't know how to pronounce it.
I think cast, the way it sounds more like a UFC kind of vibe.
All right, I got you.
I like it.
Last
sounds
ACY.
American.
All right. Well,
it sounds like the original 80s version of Roadhouse, right?
All right, got you.
Not this new one.
Yeah, got you.
Yeah.
All right, we've talked about that on the last episode.
Sure.
And if you guys want to have a look, go there. It's really cool, really cool. Anyways, I have some questions for you, Nathan. And I think you've got some questions for me as well.
I do. And the good news is that the fonts are big enough for me to read those questions for you now.
You want to show them how big I have to print?
Don't.
Well, I show you there. Look at how big.
Bigger than Bitcoin, folks.
Look at how big those things are. Look, this is like, it's a finger, pretty much, a finger, all right? You need some glasses, big boy.
Don't worry, I don't even, bullying is part of me, man. Let's just go with it.
All right, Nathan, tonight, NFP. What are you expecting? And how can these affect gold in a sense for you? You know, because if you want to talk about technical, more than happy to listen. Because I'm not too technical, you know that. And here, I want to bring you here today because we are through a very important period on gold, hitting all-time highs pretty much every day. Yesterday, Thursday, 4th of April of 2024, we just hit the new high on gold, 2,300 and something. So what are you expecting? Do you guess NFP will come higher, will come lower? How will this generate strength or weakness to gold?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because if you look at the numbers, the forecasts are getting worse.
Yes,
correct. ADP just came out and it was about between 5 and 10K less jobs on the automated side, like on the private sector.
Yep.
So the forecast is substantially down, which would be bad for the US dollar, even if it hits forecast. Okay, and so far the last few days, the market has been selling off pretty hard on the US dollar side. But the way I'm sort of looking at it technically is I'm looking at this US dollar now, and I'm seeing the trend. It's like we're trading inside the weekly and monthly trend in a bit of a range, right?
Like, yes, we are. Yeah,
we're looking at a daily. I've been on here saying US dollar trend is down, and now suddenly it reverses all the way back up to the top of that weekly level inside the monthly level. And it's just failed there for the last few days. So I think what we've got to look at is the fact that NFP can just be extremely volatile. But I'm someone who then wants to look at how the market's reacted to the number and start to make decisions for the start of a new trading week.
Yeah, exactly the same.
Right, but if I'm wanting to get long gold right now, I need a pullback. Right, so I need bad news is good news for,
bad news is good
for the
news.
gold trades. If we get
bad news for gold.
Correct.
Yeah, not for gold.
Meaning, if I'm a trader wanting a pullback, and I'm looking at the 4-hourly and the daily range, so it's this huge move up. I'm looking at the previous false break high at about 62% retracement of this move higher at the moment. So that's the level I ideally would like a pullback to. So I want to see that the trend is consolidating, that previous false break high is becoming support. Okay, and it's holding there, and I'm therefore getting a significant retracement, and I'm therefore wanting to buy in line with this trend. So that would be my golden spot, and we'll throw this chart up for you. And at the moment, it may not happen.
May not.
This may go up for another week, and I'll need to readjust again. But for someone like me, I'm not going to rely on one data event. I mean, it might provide an opportunity, I get that.
Yes.
But at the moment...
But a very, very minor opportunity why we want the big scope, not only the little.
Yeah. Do you like NFP data?
Yeah, well, thanks for the question, actually. I was, while you were talking about it, I was thinking about something here. Tell me about the three last months pretty much of the unemployment rate.
Yeah.
Much higher, right?
Yeah, expected.
As expected, higher than expected.
Yep.
Why is we waiting for a stronger NFP then? It doesn't make any sense why we have a higher number of unemployment, right? But then, if you remember, on January, the consensus, if I'm not wrong, was 170,000.
Yes.
170,000, right? Bear with this number. 170,000. February was 211,000. In March was 180,000, something around those numbers. And for today, we have 270,000, something around those numbers. So what just happened on January when we had 170,000 and it came at 311,000 jobs and unemployment continued to be high? It doesn't make any sense. It just shows to me that US is getting dumped.
It's a fair point.
Right.
And then the next month, and this is what, 10 out of 11 months, they came out with a figure and then revised it down.
Yeah, revised it down. Of course they do.
It's WWF. Before UFC, right? Back when Hulk Hogan would win, but then we found out it was all a bit staged.
Yep.
So that's why I get so confused. Sure, there might be big waves, but for a very short time. And if you're on the wrong side, you really need to manage risk.
Yes.
So I feel like employment was such an important data point, okay, for an economy. But when you think about an old man like me for the last 20 years, no one was talking about inflation. No. Inflation didn't really exist. Interest rates were down near zero or close to for a large portion of the decade plus. So it's like a new generation have just been introduced
True.
to this concept. Like in Australia here, it was like 27 years without a recession. There are people older than you that have never experienced a recession here in Australia.
Wow.
Like, they don't know what it is.
No.
Right? And so what do they have to cheer about? Bitcoin. At least they know what Bitcoin is.
Yeah, they
don't know what a recession is.
They want to feel included.
Right?
They want to feel included.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
Yeah, I include everyone.
Me too. So, right, this question is done. So, for me, in my perspective, I think we're waiting for this exactly the same thing. If you have some levels that you want to cite, like on your head, you can, but I don't have any, price-wise. I have a target that's $2,500. That's where I want to see gold this year. And what I want to touch on...
Okay, so you're saying that is sort of a target level.
Yes, but
you're saying this longer-term trend has potentially...
Yes.
That's a spot it could get to or near.
Correct.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah, $2,500 per kilo of gold. That's what I'm expecting. Okay, that's what I'm expecting. And I'm pretty confident on that because now going for the next question.
So it can't be NFP. So tell me, what do you think is the real driver here?
Correct.
Because as a gold trader, I sat there for probably 5-6 years and it didn't, you look at a chart, it didn't move much at all.
Yeah.
Like it was dead. It was flatlining in effect, right?
I know.
So
I'll tell you why then.
Please.
What are the biggest murmur going around this year? It's the central banks. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
The central banks. Have you seen what just happened with Swiss National Bank? They've
Tell us all.
Cut 25 basis points.
Yes, they certainly did.
Right? Well, they could. Inflation was down. Very well controlled. Different from Australia. As a good Australian, what do you say?
Oh, just short the other.
Right. Yeah. So, looking at Switzerland, right? We have Switzerland with, of course, very low inflation, lowest inflation of the G10 group. They could cut the rates.
Lots of bankers.
They could.
Yes.
Right? They could. They did. That's good for them. What happened with the Swiss franc? It dropped. But it dropped a lot, my friend.
Yeah, it did.
Even against yen. Japanese yen.
Yeah.
Even against Japanese yen. So can you imagine what will happen?
This doesn't sound very all-inclusive. You're having a real problem with the Japanese yen here and you're loving Switzerland.
Everyone knows that Japanese yen is bad. It's a rubbish currency. Everyone knows that.
Wow.
Everyone knows. And if you don't, now you know. Inclusive.
Is this the night before Pearl Harbor? Like, what's happening here? Why are you hating the Japanese yen?
I'm not hating. I'm just being truth here.
True.
And I can tell you more. It's going to be like that forever because they don't know what they're doing there. Anyways, it's not about Japanese yen. I need to hold myself.
Hold yourself back.
Talking about gold here, the Fed will cut the rates as well. There's a time that the Fed will cut the rates. They can't maintain that for longer. But
yes,
but there's something here that anyone is expecting it. Everyone is expecting 3 basis points cut. Tell me what was the expectation of the Fed, the FOMC, to cut how many rates this year in January? 150 basis points of cut. That's what the market was expecting for 2024. How many are now? 75. So half. In a matter of a quarter. Wait. And in a month or two, it would be only 25 basis points.
Because
write it down.
Like COVID.
This
is sticking around. We're just going to have to learn to live with a higher level of inflation. Because when you look at it, we may be just having a pullback in inflation. Right?
Oh, well.
Like I'm looking for in gold before it continues higher.
Let me interrupt you here because Fed say, Jerome Powell.
Yes, see? How good is that? He says it like he's too exotic. I'm like, man, you've got to Powell.
Punch those
He's
things.
He-Man.
All right. Jerome Powell stated yesterday on the speech
he did.
that he doesn't think that inflation is going up.
Yep.
The last 3 numbers went up, but no, he doesn't think inflation is going up. It's going down.
If he thought it was going down, he would cut. So my question becomes, do you believe central bankers working with politicians? I'm not going to ask, do you believe politicians? We all kind of know the answer to that. So when the central banker is working with politicians, are they not kind of one and all the same in a sense? So I have taken a more technical approach because I don't believe them. Think about it. The head of the Fed came out and said, we're not going to be a banana republic. This QE is just a one-off.
Yeah.
We've had, as Peter Schiff says, more QEs than Rocky movies, right? For those of you old enough to know what they are, right? Or his nephew, or there's another spin-off as well. But do you see what I'm getting at? I'm looking at this idea of central banks wanting to print money, wanting to create more debt. And if we just use that as a baseline, when they do come out and tell us great news, right?
Yes.
Do you believe them?
And then it comes, if they're printing more money, are they actually trying to control inflation? How do we control inflation? Do you know the answer?
You lie about how you measure it. Like if you're at the pub and you're saying, I'm going to have one more beer, but what you mean is I'm going to have one more beer after my second last beer. So it's true, right? Like it's true. So do they just word things? And I feel like in the market, we need to go in line with what the popular part of the market is believing at the time, whether they be right or wrong. Right? And right now, what I'm seeing, and I think this goes back to your US dollar question at the start and gold, it's like the relative strength of not just the US dollar, but other currencies around the world are all a lot weaker than gold. Like gold is finally showing the weakness in other fiat currencies, and maybe Bitcoin is doing that as well. Okay, so big shout out to all you Bitcoin people there. And even if you are older than 8 years old, that's fine. Please come on in. Yeah. But do you know what I'm getting at? Like I feel like other central banks around the world are getting rid of US dollars. They're not holding them as much as they used to. And we've now got an exposure moving into gold as a reserve. So
that's exactly what I'm thinking as well. Right? Moving to gold as a reserve of all the things what's going to happen in this year. And if you haven't joined it on gold in the beginning of 2024, that's a problem.
And if inflation is just putting in a higher bottom and is going to stick around, then that means...
but then, I think I've mentioned that a few times already on my videos. I've mentioned that last year, 2023, on June or July, FOMC released the minutes for the meeting, for the FOMC meeting.
Yep.
And they've made it very, very clear. You can go. I've remembered that. It's on June 2023. There's only one meeting. You go to FOMC website, go to June 2023, go to minutes of the meeting, and you look at the outlook for economic outlook. And it will be very clear saying that inflation will be sticky in 2024, plus high unemployment will be in there.
And what they can do is just change the measurement of it.
Of course.
So NFP to me...
They're playing the game. They're playing the game.
How do you measure it?
I'm the owner of the game. Well, you're not going to win. I will win. So I'm going to change the rules.
Correct.
You're changing the rules as the game are going. And right now, it's not like a crime, I would say, because I don't think I can say that it's a crime. But it's really bad for the looking, right? It's really bad. It's not nice.
I think the other thing too with gold is I feel like economically, globally, there's a real kind of desperation coming into play, and I don't mean that in a good way.
The FOMO, right? The fear of missing out.
And people are sort of a bit more stressed than they were during COVID, getting all this free money, sitting at home. Like there's now a real intensity, and I see it walking around the streets. I see it talking to people when I'm having a conversation about their lives. It's something that's really kind of kicked into gear now. So does gold become almost like a savior? Right? Do you start to think, or Bitcoin, you start going, what am I going to do? I need to look to place some money in something as a safeguard, but almost now as a financial kind of savior, because everything around me is very mixed data and starting to show strong signs of weakness. And that's in currencies all around the world. Okay? So, and then you go a step further and you say, well, how could stocks be going higher? Like,
I wasn't prepared for that.
Well, wow. I mean, you sit there talking about a massive inflation problem. There's going off here and there, and wars could be starting, and everybody's getting a bit concerned. We've printed all this money, and now we need to go on a diet, and we need to do this rapidly. Stocks go to all-time highs. So where is the logic, right? So suddenly even like analysts start to go, I followed everything on the diet and I didn't lose any weight. Like there's a problem here. Like,
it's like me, like the uni teacher always say, bonds can go down. Well, they're going this year. They're going down. How is this not going down? Right? It's going down. It's going down really bad. And stocks are going up.
And yields keep rising.
Yeah.
How could yields keep rising when we're going to cut?
And the bond's going down.
It
doesn't make any sense for me, mate.
Which is why I feel like you need to hitch your wagon to a direction. You need to do your analysis, I feel, and look for really clear signs, and then go, right, how will I look to take advantage or trade in a direction, rather than right now where things are a bit mixed. And it can be a little bit scary. So that's where I feel like, when we're talking about gold, right? And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But now I'm going to say, these are the key elements I'm looking at. Strong uptrend, inflation sticking around. They are talking about cutting, so good fundamentals.
Yes.
And price action is matching these fundamentals as far as gold going up, right?
That's good. So there is, yes, correct.
So you need to say, well, in my opinion, you need to wait for some kind of retracement.
Back, and then to get into on the long side.
And if I miss out and gold just keeps going higher at a rapid rate, I just get in fetal position and cry.
Yes, true.
That's kind of it, right?
True. Well, guys, we're trying to do a little bit shorter, so 28 minutes right now, somewhere around 27 minutes, I would say. Last question to wrap up this. I think it's pretty clear what where gold is going, but I'm going to ask you.
Sure.
What do you think, going through 2024? What's your expectations regarding the gold? Do you think it's gonna all go to even higher, or it's going to dump it? In your opinion, Nathan, opinion?
I think it's going to go higher.
Higher.
I really do, especially priced in fiat currencies, right? Unless we get on that diet, unless we make weight for the fight here, we're not fighting.
No.
And right now we're not making weight.
No.
Like, it's really simple. I look at it and think these countries are not getting inflation under control. They're losing a bit of weight, but they're not gonna get in the fight yet.
Not this year. There's a lot to be done yet. I do think in the same lines, I think the Fed has a lot to be done yet. This is why the 1 cut 3 rates. And this is why the market is pricing down every month. Otherwise, it would be 170 base points.
Can I ask you a question then?
Of course you can.
Because it's something that I'm struggling with. So let's say that they can't cut. They can't cut, right? Let's just say they get to a point where the data, which they're so reliant on, and they're looking around and saying, we really can't cut yet, and we need to just hold for a more higher for longer extended period.
Right.
What do you think, if that happened, what would be our kind of things we could look out for, or the effect?
Okay, right? So the first thing is, what is the effect this will generate to the market, right? When we have a market that it's always priced in new cuts or new pauses, then it's fine. But if the market get caught off guard, then it's a big problem. So exactly what was happening on March, when we had those big numbers coming in on January and February, March meeting was much lower expected to be a cut, because if they cut, they would show so much irresponsibility towards the economy, because they have just two releases, 2 months of much higher, 100% higher on non-farmer payroll, and 0.1% or 1% higher on month-over-month inflation.
Sure.
And same happened on February. So if they would cut on March, that would be a disaster. That would be very, very bad. And even though...
Just before an election too, right?
Just before an election as well. That would be an effective on a reverse effect on prices. So the economy was going to go down, now it's going to go up again. Right? So this is the first thing. If the market continues to slow or continues to do the predictions as market pace, what I mean by market pace is, let's say we're going to have a meeting on next month, in July. Let's say we're going to have a meeting in July. The precipitation for a cut is 56% at the moment. But in 2 months ago, it was 80%. So the market is looking at those numbers and like, no, they're not going to cut there. They will do another cut in the next month. And then 60% goes to the next month, and then it now becomes 30% chance only. And it goes like that until December. So then no cuts.
There's no cuts. They can't cut.
My honest opinion on that is at least and maximum one cut. At least one
Give
cut.
us something, right? Yeah, even though it might have a huge effect.
They will give us something. Of course they will. Because you know why?
Yeah.
Because they can lie for you, but then they have to give you a little bit of truth as well.
Yeah.
So then they give it. Okay, 25, it's fine. They can cut 25 right now.
I agree. I love intermittent fasting. 25. It's like intermittent fasting. I just go on a diet for 4 or 5 hours. That's it. Right? I call it. I'll just call it intermittent fasting. I did something. I mean, it's not going to work.
No.
But it makes me feel like I'm doing something. And
great.
Do people then feel like that everything's like, it's almost like you're trying to calm the farm a little bit.
Yeah.
But overall...
You try, imagine this whole office here is catching on fire. Okay.
Exactly.
Just a minute here. Okay, should be enough.
It's what we should have done the whole time.
Pretty much. Let's end here. 35 minutes. I think there's a lot of information, and I think it's very clear to see where gold is going in our opinion here. Nathan, Bray, and Luca, myself. So, in my opinion, gold is going up this year, hitting those $2,500. Probably we will have really bad things happening into the economy throughout the year, but don't expect 7 cuts from the Fed. Expect 1. And this is all.
Unless they have to cut. Right, that's what I'm a bit worried about. Cutting is meant to just take the edge.
That's exactly what I'm saying. They have to cut at least 1.
Because they have to, and that's even worse than just letting some steam out of the strength of the economy.
Correct.
And if they do that globally,
it's a bomb, and I can hear it's clicking. Click, 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 click.
Yeah. And people don't want to go down that road. It's. Look at me. No one wants to go on a diet, but I have to, right?
No. Well, you're always on a strict diet, right? Always.
I'm as good as Mr. Powell when it comes to my diet. I'm always talking a tough game, but I just had a packet of cheesels. I think I had about 5 Easter eggs in about 2 minutes.
Well, not that. 45 seconds.
Yeah.
All right, guys, this is all from today. Please share these podcasts or vodcasts, whatever, with your friends. Maybe you're hearing this on the go. You know, we always do on multiple platforms, so you can listen when you're going to work or when you're coming back to home, or even, you know, doing some things at home. You can listen, plug in on your earphones and listen to us. Hopefully this was informative for everyone, and we will have another one next 2 weeks. So join us and subscribe to the channel. Give us a thumbs up on this video, and I'll see you in the next one.
Talk soon. Thank you very much, Luca.
Not a problem.
Cheers, mate.